cat hair everywhere. Hey, we're live again. Welcome everyone to another episode of Keto Chat. I am your host, Carol Freeman. I am a board-certified ketogenic nutrition specialist. Oh, this Andy is going to be a pain tonight, isn't he? He's dropping off. So, well, we'll see if we have 3 guests or just 2. But welcome, everyone. Thank you for watching. I know you have to go back and watch the rest of Tiger King, but hey, just pause for a moment, watch this live here. I know my name is the same as one of the characters on Tiger King, Carol, and it's spelled the same. I haven't decided if I'm going to change my name or just ride the fame wave here, but thank you all for taking time out of your super busy schedule to watch us. Tonight, we're going to be talking, all of my guests I've hand-selected to be here to talk about maintaining an optimistic mindset. So I know right now, all over the world, it's really easy to fall into a pattern of all day long just checking the internet and reading all the stats and making yourself anxious and feel overwhelmed. Stop it. We're all in this together. We're going to be all right. We're all taking care of each other, staying home and being well. And so tonight, all my guests are here to talk to you and share tips from various viewpoints, life experiences, expertises, and hey, we just want to bring some good to the world. So those of you that are watching, just chime in right now. Let us know where you're joining us from, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to briefly introduce each of my guests, and then they don't even know what order we're going in, but I'm just going to randomly pick on one of them to go. So in no particular order, tonight we have Tabari McCoy, who is a stand-up comedian, and he's here all the way from Cincinnati, Ohio. Where are you guys joining us from? We also have Karen Herold. She's a transitional life coach, and I believe she's in the Seattle area here. And we also have Andy Vargo, who, I don't know, he does a lot of different stuff, and he's down in Tacoma area. So welcome all my guests. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Having us on this version of Around the Horn internet style for the sports.
Yeah. If you want to do sports commentary on this as well, that's great because, you know, we got no more sports anymore in the whole world.
ESPN right now is showing WrestleMania 32.
Oh, how fun. How fun. That's great. So great. All right. Up first, do we have any comments yet? Let's see. All right. Somebody's afraid to tell us where they're joining us from, but I challenge you. It's not scary. Just type right in there in the comments. Let us know where you're joining from. We want to make this interactive, and we're glad you're here. So we want to give you a little shout out. We're not going to be mean. Don't worry. All right. So I'm going to bring up first. Our first guest is going to be Spin the Wheel of Destiny. It's going to be Karen Herold. Karen is a transition life coach, energy psychologist, creative arts facilitator, college professor, and recovering CPA. Oh, look, she's got a joke in there at the end. That's great. Karen empowers and encourages her clients to embrace transition as an invitation to envision, create, and manifest their next stage in their life as one that is filled with purpose, meaning, and value, and fun. And how much better of a time is it to help people with transition than right now? Thank you. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Yeah, everyone is in a bit of a transition right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So my coaching work focuses on working with people who have experienced significant life changes, such as a job change, an unexpected job change. Anybody out there have an unexpected job change right now?
Boy, hey, yeah. Who on this call right now, huh?
Right. Divorce, the death of a loved one, or something like quarantining due to a global pandemic, you know.
Just little things like that. Yeah.
Just little things like that. And we almost always view those significant life events as something we just need to get through, right? It's like whatever we have to do, you can't avoid it, you know, you have to get through it. I like to encourage my clients to look at this in a different way. I like them to see that there is opportunity and invitation in these really upsetting upsetting types of things. And by upsetting, I mean upsetting everything that you know. So all of a sudden you used to going to work every day and now you're home all the time. That is upsetting. So we can say, we just have to get through it, or we can say, what is the opportunity that is invited in that? And I think that there's a lot of different opportunities, but the biggest one is, what are the lessons that we can learn here that we can take forward into creating the next stage in our life? There are lessons that we're all learning, such as how to be on something like this, right? My parents are in their mid-80s, and they are recently, they have been figuring out how to be on Zoom for church services and meetings. They've been doing chair yoga on YouTube. You know, these are things that they would not have done beforehand, and these are things that are going to support them in a new way as they're going forward. And I think we're all finding that there are things that we're learning about being in connection with people and business opportunities, all sorts of things. Maybe the opportunity is more about how to take care of ourselves. There's so many people out walking right now. Has anybody started a new walking routine? Anybody here?
I went out for a walk today and I was shocked at how many people were out there walking and riding and biking. And I was like, the governor should not know about this, because that's the next thing.
Well, I did see some questions about, can somebody explain to runners what social distancing means, what 6 feet is,
I have a dog myself, despite the amount of girth that could get me to play Anthony Anderson's stunt double in a lot of different sorts of Blackish. It depends on where you go. I've seen people running solo, and then you see like the groups of people where you're like, that's not social distance. I guess you can all be healthy and then be unhealthy together. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there are some lessons there about self-care and about being out in nature and about exercise and healthy and finding balance, right? So those are lessons that are coming out of this significant life change that may have an impact on us as we go forward. But what I really want to talk about is perspective, and the fact that we can look at these events as something we have to just get through, or we can look at them as opportunity. And I have a story that I would like to share. It's a short one, and probably a lot of you have heard of it before. And I have to change glasses so I can actually see it on my other computer. So just a second. And this is, I didn't write this story. This one has been around for a couple thousand years. Apparently, it was from the Han Dynasty in China, and it's called The Wise Farmer. So once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer whose horse ran away. That evening, all of his neighbors came around to commiserate, and they said, "We're so sorry to hear your horse has run away. That is most unfortunate." The farmer said, "Maybe so, maybe not." The next day, the horse came back bringing 7 wild horses with it. And in the evening, everybody came back and said, "Oh, isn't that lucky? What a great turn of events. You now have 8 horses." And the farmer again said, "Maybe so, maybe not." The following day, his son tried to break one of the horses, and while riding it, he was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors then said, "Oh dear, that's too bad." And the farmer responded, "Maybe so, maybe not." The next day, the conscription officers came around to conscript people into the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. Again, all the neighbors came around and said, "Isn't that great?" And again, he said, "Maybe so, maybe not." And isn't there so much truth in that? I just love that. Because the truth is, we don't know. We don't know the blessings that can come out of this time. Right now, it can seem like there's a lot of problems, a lot of issues, 10 years from now, those blessings and problems can be completely turned around. So I think about 10 years ago when we had a severe recession. Has anyone thought of that lately?
I'm just now getting out of my recession, but I understand.
Well, remember the last check we got in the mail from the government? Is that the time you're talking about?
Yeah, that probably is the time. And at the time, it was very similar to what it is right now. There is no traffic on the roads, right? And in the Seattle area, it had gone from horrible traffic to no traffic, and that's where we are again. And at the time, it seemed like everything was so bad and that we were never going to recover. But 10 years later, right before this happened, we were completely recovered, and we had the longest period of financial growth that we had in our nation's history. I believe I've read that. So again, the thing is, we don't know. And our perspective is the only thing that we have control over in all of this. And so I would like to talk about your perspective and how you can have some influence over that. So when you are finding yourself with a negative kind of thought loop going on, what do you do?
Is anyone watching right now, like, see if you can come up with one thing that's good about what you're going through right now. Let's challenge people already. I bet at this point you can already start to see something that's good.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Karen.
Well, the first thing is to be aware. What is happening? What are you thinking about? Having awareness of the thoughts that you're having, those negative thought loops, helps a lot, because the minute that you're aware, you can start to take steps. What are some of the steps that you can take? I'm sure that most of you right now will say, go out for a walk or a bike ride or take your dog out. Those things are more obvious things that we know. But here's a really important thing, and that is to be aware of your resources. The people around you are the people that you have in your sphere. Right now, they might not be physically close, but in your sphere, we all have people who can help us to solve problems, to realize that we have alternatives, to help us to stop going down that rabbit hole of negative, and to help us to get talked off the ledge, right? We kind of sometimes can get on that ledge, and we have people who can help us to take that step back and say, no, really, not so much. But the converse of that is true also. We have to be aware of those people in our lives who can go down the rabbit hole with us and make those comments that make us go farther and farther down, right? So being aware of people resources.
Yeah. So how many people right now can think of people that you maybe engage with each day that every time you talk to them, you feel like you're feeling lower than when you started talking to them?
Yeah, that used to be me. So So I'll get to that later. I understand.
Are you the terrible Tabari? Is that your
Debbie Downer SNL meme? Yeah, I could have pretty much just subbed me in. Yeah. So I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's social media, right? Social media right now.
Ever been stuck in the rabbit hole of negativity, or friends and family that take you down there?
Yeah, for sure.
Andy
was asking.
Oh, definitely. Sometimes it's a matter of trying to kind of steer the conversation back. Yeah, that definitely happens all the time.
Okay.
And I think that normally we can, when life is normal, that we can have those people in our lives and we can deal with them. We just need to realize that sometimes they're not the influence that we need. And so really highlighting those people who are our resources and being aware of them and being aware of what you're bringing into your life when you start to go into that, it's super helpful. And then other ideas, moving energy, right? So when we start to get into that physical movement, move that physical energy, because when we get caught in that, like we get tight, you know, who has gone into that like this, you know, and you just feel like that weight's coming down and you're going, and moving moves that energy out of your body, and that allows your mind to start working in a calmer way. So dancing, I mean, how fun is that? Move it out with dancing or aerobics, or, you know, playing with your kids, kicking the soccer ball around. Those are all things that you can do right now that are going to help to raise the endorphins. And when you raise your endorphins, your thoughts become more positive. There's other things that I think all are aware of and kind of go, we all hear meditation, right? Meditation is so good for you. And right now you're like, but I'm by myself so often, you know. But has anyone out there started meditation during all of this? Yeah? No?
Not I, no.
Yeah, I've done some. I've done a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody watching has.
There are some great apps on your phone now. One is called Insight Timer. One is called Calm. And they have so many different ways of meditating, people leading you on meditation. There's a whole area on sleep meditation. I mean, how great is that? You've got things that are putting you to sleep every night. It's so wonderful. Somebody reading you a sleep story. Oh, so nice. Anyway, obviously I like that part. Another thing to do is do something creative. Color, paint, weave, knit. There's this whole area on Pinterest now about taking things that are going to be recycled or thrown out and making something beautiful out of it. And
so last night I had 3 guests on that showed all different types of arts and crafts that people could do. So watch that episode if you need
absolutely
of things you can do at home.
Yeah. And I think these other 2 people will be talking more about this when I'm done, but laughter. I mean, you cannot be in a bad mood and, you know, negative and laugh. Right in the moment when you're laughing, you are at a higher level, right? So those are all things that you can do, but I have a couple of other exercises that I offer for my clients that are kind of illuminating. And one of them I call the rabbit hole. And so you start by having a piece of paper and just write down, what is this negative thought loop that you have? And then you set your pen down or your pencil down and you say, and if this happens, what happens then? And let your imagination work and write that down. And then say, and if that happens, what happens then? And write that down and just keep going down the rabbit hole. And you will start to notice how your imagination has been working, right? Because so many of those things that we're telling ourselves, they're not true. It's all in the future. It's not right now. So by going through this process, before long, you're just shaking your head at yourself going, wow, how did I even come up with that? And the other part of that, the other exercise that is related to that is it true? So asking yourself, again, with this thought loop that you have, write down every part of it, and then go sentence by sentence and say, is it true? Is it true? Is it true? And what we'll find out is that almost always we're future-based rather than being current-based. And if you think at this moment, I have a house, I have clothes, I have food, I have toilet paper, which apparently we all need mass amounts of. And And it brings you right back into the present moment where you can take a breath and know that everything is okay.
And right now I have 3 people that are on live with me to talk to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. With all sorts of great ideas of how you can change your perspective. So when you start to go down that thought loop, I think a really great mantra that you can always say to yourself is maybe so, maybe not. Right? You are in control.
Story.
Yeah.
Full circle. Look at that. She did a callback, guys.
That was awesome.
And I do want to say also that there's definitely real fears, and there's real things to be concerned about. So I'm not trying to lessen that. What I'm trying to do is saying we need to figure out how much of it is our imagination making it worse and how much of it is real, and then using those resources in order to problem solve. And secondly, there are people who have true anxiety and are having panic attacks. And if that's the case, then find a therapist who specializes in that, who can diagnose and work with you on that, because this is the type of situation that really feeds into those things.
Yeah, because there's so much right now that we don't have control over.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's when we get into that. And for most of us, we can talk ourselves down off that ledge. Some people don't have that ability, and that's when you need some help for sure. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, a couple of great exercises, Karen. Tabari and Andy, any questions for Karen?
I had not planned on asking questions of the other guests, so I did not.
No, I love the story. I think that's beautiful. And I think, like what you say, it's about control, and it's about, controlling your thought process, because you feel the stress even if it's imagined. So why take all that on when we're not even having that experience? So that, is it true? I think that's a golden question to ask yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And laughter, right? The more that we can do, the more play that we can do, the more playful we can be, the more that we're going to be able to get out of that, oh, the sky is falling kind of stories that we're telling ourselves. Yeah.
It seems so far, I think I haven't counted. I think this is the number 10 episode I've been doing since we've all been on the stay-at-home orders, and my most popular episode seems to be the one where we all just giving each other crap the whole show, like teasing each other.
For that, to tell you, because I do jokes about it. We like watching other people fail or watching other people misery because it makes us feel better about ourselves. I know this because my Facebook feed is filled with the Mullet Man, aka the Tiger King. I did a hoarding marathon earlier today, and hoarding is a mental disorder. But that's not what you think about when you watch the first 10 minutes of that show. I can't believe how crazy this person is.
Okay. I have to say, I'm like the only one in the world who knows nothing about this, but my daughter, when you tagged me earlier, Carol, she called up and she goes, "Mom, I need to give you the background from this." so that you can act like you know what's going on in the world.
Right, like that, the Tiger King thing. We love a good train wreck. I watched 5 seasons of Jersey Shore.
That is true.
Train wreck.
Tabari, you're explaining exactly. Like I had my regular shows I would watch on Netflix and Hulu, but it was like they weren't good enough at this time. And you're explaining exactly what it was. It was like I needed more train wreckiness to take my mind off of our own train wreck.
Joke I do right now in my act where I talk about like watching people fail, because I discovered that show MasterChef Junior by accident. No 9-year-old should be trying to save their parents' marriage, sitting there going, "Why is my souffle not standing?" Like, it's because their parents' marriage isn't standing, and they're using you as the bridge to keep them together. That's why.
Oh, so good. That's so good. Yeah. Yeah, so Netflix, I'm gonna guess like they've been saving that for a while to bring it out, and they're like,
Right.
oh, right now is the time you need to tag your.
Yep.
I can't see what.
They saw the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
they saw
my
the
gosh.
pandemic order and said, "We're go for launch."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Karen, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna go on now to we're gonna bring up Andy because I want to make sure his internet's he keeps leaving us, so I want to make sure he's gonna stay
Sorry
with
about
us.
that.
That's all right. We'll see if it holds. So that way, if it doesn't work, I'll bring in our pitch. Is it who's a sports person? Is it pinch hitter or pitch hitter?
Pinch.
Like in a pinch?
Yes.
Okay. I've always wondered about that phrase. I always said it like pinch hitter.
Also, I can tell you that you probably haven't had to worry about pinch hitters for a while because they.
I cleaned out my closet yesterday. Right. I packed up all my Seahawks gear, and I'm like, well, till next season, whenever that is, we'll get.
We'll have Russell Wilson ready for training camp.
There we go. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go up with Andy, and then we'll have our pinch hitter. Tabari, but and I learned also that I've been using another word incorrectly. So right now, Andy is going to be our penultimate guest. I'd always use penultimate as like even more than ultimate, but apparently penultimate means the one before the last one. So I'm going to welcome our penultimate guest tonight, Andy Vargo of Own Your Awkward. This is what Andy Vargo challenges each of us to do, but it was not something he did himself for the first 40 years of his life. He can't even be old enough to have done something for 40 years. Now that Andy understands the potential of being yourself, he is on a mission to help others do the same thing in order to unlock the powers of their full potential and even more, live their best life. Coming out of the closet at 40 has not been what defines him. Finally being himself and pursuing his passion for helping others does. During the day, Andy works corporate events and schools as a motivational speaker and one-on-one life coach, helping people navigate the obstacles that are between them and their happy, successful life. At night, you can find him. Well, you used to be able to find him working stages around the Northwest as a comedian, making with a gift of laughter. Awkward is not only his brand, but his style, as Andy encourages all of us to own your awkward and be true to our genius selves. He's the author of Awkward Journal series, hosts the podcast Own Your Awkward, and shares thoughts and ideas in his blog and video series available at awkwardcareer.com. I've been a guest on that podcast. So welcome, everyone. The dude that looks like he's here to share the latest Bible verse with us, Andy Vargo.
Yeah, thank you for coming to my tele-church. Carol, this is just such an awesome thing that you're doing, and I love the idea of tonight's topic because we're talking about maintaining a positive attitude, and I feel like people might see that come up as the topic and go, yeah, right, how's that going to happen? Because we do go down that rabbit hole like Karen was talking about. And one of the things, I like to go back to a personal story from a couple of years ago, because after I had come out and gotten divorced, about a year later, I was living alone, renting a room in a place. And I remember, I feel like that was when I really hit my rock bottom. And I remember the day, and I like to say I remember the day because it wasn't an exact moment. It was day after day after day where I would wake up with the same feeling like Groundhog Day. And I feel like we could all be feeling that right now. Like we wake up feeling like today is going to be the same version as yesterday. And I finally had this light go on. It was I call it my hey idiot moment, because like, hey idiot, if you didn't do anything yesterday, it was different. How did you expect today to be any different? And so like right now in this time, if we wake up and we figure out what show to binge watch and we figure out what we're going to do, and we just keep doing the same things, we're going to be in the same cycle until, someone opens the door magically and says, you can go back to work or you can do whatever. So what I had to do was, I've always been a writer. I went to the store and I bought myself a nice leather journal, because I always have seen them and I wanted to get one, but I never knew what was valuable enough to put in that special journal I would buy. So I wrote it on the first page. I'm just like, so you're not happy with life? What are you going to do about it? And I challenged myself to every day write down 3 things that I would do today to make tomorrow better. And started with really simple stuff like, get up on time, go outside, take a shower today, whatever it is, like depending on where you're at in your life, that can change. And sometimes you need to write down the same 3 things like over and over again. Like for me, sometimes it was have a productive day at work, call a friend, talk to a person. And what I found was I would write down what I planned to do the night before. And that way I would wake up in the morning with the plan in my head so that I had a purpose when I woke up. I think that's really important to do. But then at the end of the night, I would journal about what I did that day. And I would write down, today I did this thing, and tomorrow I'm going to do these 3 things. Because sometimes at the end of the day, things that I was kind of excited about that made my day better, but it wasn't, maybe I found that I was going to get up.
Ooh,
Take a shower.
Right at the most important part.
Or what I noticed that my life started getting richer and fuller, right? Like everything was just coming together. So that's actually what these books back here are about, because when I started being a speaker and coach, I realized that people can't work from that blank slate. So I actually took my journal and I wrote it. I call it Life Gets Better. It's just the Life Gets Better journal. And it's basically that. Just pick 3 things you're going to do today. And I actually have a new one that for people who are on here, you can actually get it emailed to you for free right now. It's the Life Finds Peace journal. And it's about finding your inner peace in a time of solitude. And with this one, all of the journals have a tip every day. And so it's things like Karen mentioned, meditate or do something fun, but it's all about stuff that you're doing for yourself. Because I think this is we have a gift right now this time to kind of self-reflect and try to break the cycle of finding fulfillment from outside and from others. So when we go back to that room full of people, we can be bringing happiness and joy to the room rather than relying on it to fill a hole in our life. And I think that's that shift in mindset where we need to reframe how we use this time so we step back out into the world. But so for my thing about staying positive, it's all about picking 3 things. And right now, Karen nailed one of mine. Right now, every day, my 3 things are I'm going to laugh, I'm going to sing, and I'm going to do an act of love. And that act of love might be calling someone to check on them. It might be doing something for myself, having reflective time or meditating. I think
this is a PG show now, Andy. You don't need to tell us about your act of love with yourself, but
I'm just saying, but whatever it is that you need to do, that you don't have to share with the world. But anyway, so that's my 3 things every day. It's
I'm teasing. He has a good point, everyone.
No, but anyway, that's what I've been trying to do, and it's not always easy because you can be as positive as possible, and you get sucker punched with that feeling that you just something out of the blue, a commercial comes on, or a memory pops in your head. But knowing that that's going to be there and setting with it is okay. What I started doing when I was in that rock bottom place, I didn't instantly just life got better because I was writing down what I'm going to do, but I did notice that I might make it through a half a day without breaking down, or maybe an hour without breaking down. And I learned to track the distance and time between breakdowns. And that's what I saw as my progress. So then when I did, I'm walking in the grocery store and I see something that reminds me of my kids, and I'm like, I don't live with them anymore. And I'm crying in Fred Meyer because it's a Father's Day display that I walked right into. And I'm thinking, this is going to be the worst Father's Day ever. Well, I was able to say, you know what? I haven't had that breakdown for 3 weeks. So I can have this bad day. I can let myself sit in this moment and take in those emotions and feelings, knowing that this isn't how I'm going to feel the rest of my life, because the last 3 weeks have not been that way. And it might be, maybe I'll get to where it's 3 months. So
Andy, at that time, I can imagine that you felt really alone. Like one thing right now, all of us are going through this. We all have our own individual experiences of what it's like. We live alone or with a family or kids or older kids,
right.
or parents were worried about. But when you were going through that, like you literally were all alone in what you were going through. And so these tips you're sharing with us are really, really powerful in helping people find some purpose and meaning and just getting through day to day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. So this isolation situation right now, I kind of feel like is level 2 for me, because it's like I went through it. It's like I leveled up. It's like the games, the video games, you get the badges now or whatever. But yeah, and that was something that was really tricky for me, because when I think about quiet time and silence, I was the youngest of 7 kids. So I had the time I was in kindergarten, they were having kids. So not only were my siblings around, but my oldest siblings were starting to have kids. So I had nieces and nephews and cousins. I always was surrounded by a big family and lots of people. And then I got married young and had kids young, and they always had friends over. So until I moved out of my house, I was surrounded by people. So the idea of quiet time and silence, to me, that was scary. That was uncertainty. That was fear, darkness. It was loneliness. All of those emotions. And never did I think I could reframe that to think about quiet time being content or peaceful or reflective and being healthy. And so I did have to learn that, to be okay with the silence, that it opened up the chance for me to be creative, for me to sing a song that I can hear without all the noise around me. And that, you're right, it wasn't easy, because getting past the loneliness was huge. But I found that I, in somewhat a codependent way, was expecting other people to fill that emptiness and to make me have company. And if you're not okay being with yourself in a room for a while, then you're never going to be okay with, no one's going to fill that void, because everyone at some point will let you down and you'll go immediately back to the loneliness. That's why it's bad with people who aren't happy with themselves. It's like the less comfortable you are with yourself, the worse you feel, like you've fallen all the way back to rock bottom every time somebody lets you down. And so you've got to get past that so that you can kind of move on.
Yeah. And it's just making me think, the last couple of days I've been reflecting on how I was within myself feeling like nobody knows what I'm going through. They don't understand what it feels like for me. And then I realized I'm a single lady. I live all by myself with 2 cats. I have not touched another human being in 14 days right now. I'm an extrovert, and touch is one of my primary love languages. And we all have touch as a human need, right? And so I was having my own little pity party about nobody understands what it's like. But I realized every single person going through this has their own unique, you don't understand what it's like for me to go through this, right? So I've got a friend that has 4 little kids at home, and their partner, and how maddening is that to have to deal with day in and day out? What if you have your partner, even if you're madly in love with them, but you fight sometimes, they just you don't ever get a getaway from them. So everyone has their own unique right now. You just don't understand. We're all having our own, you don't understand moments, because we're all having our own experience of it's difficult for all of us. And so what Karen and Andy have talked about so far are really, really important things to look at. Not just look at the bright side. These are valuable, real skills that can help us. And if you practice them now, there may not be anything as bad as this in the future. And if you can navigate this and practice these skills now,
let's hope so.
Just think how good you're going to be at all those little bumps that come up in your life later on. So great.
Right.
Did I ruin your flow? Did you have more about that, Andy?
No, that was perfect. I love how you say that about the fact that you have that realization that no one knows how I feel, because one of the things I've talked about when I give keynotes is, when I came out, it's not about, I have the struggle of being a gay person and this was something I had to come to terms with, because I believe that's not any worse than anybody else. Everybody has something different, right? We all have a thing we're in the closet about that we're not comfortable sharing, or that we need to ourselves. And it's just like what you're talking about, Carol, where you have that realization that no one's going to understand exactly what I'm feeling right now, but just as much I can't understand what the mom with the 4 kids right now, or someone else who's in a hospital dealing with all the extra fear and things that are going on there, or whatever your change is happening in your life right now because of the situation. And each person, even if you're both hospital workers, each of those people go home to different dynamics. Everybody's history and recipe is completely different. So that's huge.
Karen, can I share just a quick little story that kind of, I think, is right in line with this. I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat a number of years ago. Yeah, extroverts are always like, never.
My choice.
But one of my daughters, I have 3 daughters. One of my daughters had given me a card to open up halfway through, or whenever I wanted to, whenever things got hard. And I mean, this was not only silent, this was like no TV, no phone, no radio, no writing materials, nothing. It's kind of like now, but anyway, no journal, no, nothing.
Oh, wow.
And so I just like hoarded this little card, and I waited until the 6th night, because I was only over halfway open, done to open it. And I opened it, and there was a line in there that said, "You will find this hard to believe, but the time will come where you will crave this silence." And I was just like, there is no way, I am so over this. But it was true, given enough time and distance, there is a part of me that would go back to that at any point in time, because it was very special and life-changing and transformative. And I think that is true of all of these, really challenging experiences. While in the moment we're like, get me out of this, there's no way I would go back to it. As we look back at it, it's like, wow, I was so in the real flow of life then, really in the depths, but also learning so much about what I need to do about me and getting to know me. And I think that that's where the hope is when we're in these times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I concur.
And if you all want to know about a 10-day silent meditation retreat, I'm happy to share that information. Most people run.
I've heard about those. I don't know. I can't say never, never, but I don't know. We'll see.
I understand.
Yeah, start with I've done media, freezes where I won't listen to any. I won't log on to anything. I'll take usually a 2 to 3 day period where I will only listen to classical music if I'm writing or something like that. But I won't have anything that I try not to let any outside influence in my head for a couple of days to reset my creativity. But I couldn't imagine the silence. That would be a whole other level, and also for 10 days.
Yeah.
I loved how you said silence and then a light came on behind her. That was
I know.
That was like, wow.
Andy has the powers there. No. All right.
There's a switch under your table.
Yeah. Are you guys ready to bring up our pinch hitter, our ultimate guest for tonight?
I'm actually the cleanup hitter to use baseball terms, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Our grand finale, our grand slam home run.
Bring it home.
All season? No, that's not right. All-star, I don't know. There's a bunch of them. Anyways, I'll read his real bio instead of making some stuff up. Tabari McCoy, a fan of stand-up comedy dating back to when he would laugh at Laffy Taffy rappers. I remember those. Tabari's sense of humor reflects a wide assortment of influences, speaking on everything from everyday annoyances to pop culture, sports, and his own personal experiences. Tabari's conversational, everyman style has led him to open for a wide range of today's stars. Are you guys ready for this list? Including, but not limited to, Mike Birbiglia, Tom Segura, Tony Rock, the late Charlie Murphy, Tig Notaro, Sarah Colonna, Chris Porter, John Caparulo. Oh man, I get messed up. Caparulo, among others. Tabari has also been honored to perform at several prestigious events, such as the illustrious San Francisco Sketchfest, the North Carolina Comedy Arts Festival, and the inaugural Limestone Comedy Festival in Bloomington, Indiana. In addition to being featured on Rooftop Comedy's Road Trip on the MAV TV network and Hulu.com, Tabari also starred alongside his mom in an episode of HGTV's popular series Property Virgins, buying his first home. Oh my gosh, you guys know what we're going to watch tonight now. Hence the reason he would really appreciate you supporting his career. With his debut album, Laughing with a Panther, 2013, Rooftop Media, his sophomore album, Remarkable, 2018, Rooftop Media, and his national TV debut on Laughs under his belt, Tabari is now looking forward to whatever the future holds, which he hopes includes more stage time, nationwide, more TV, a third album, world domination. You get the idea. But no matter what he does, what he says, he does it with one simple goal in mind: making people laugh, and hoping he doesn't anger his family or God in the process. Welcome to Tabari, everyone.
Hey, can you tell I've been sitting over here trying to like be nice and patient and not like interrupt and be like a ball of energy? Because you know, as a comic, you have low energy comedians and high energy. And I am more of a high energy comic, not where I have like a bunch of zany actors like actual jokes, but like I hate when I go watch people perform and they just like talking to the mic and they're like scared. I'm like, that's not a performance. So
right.
That's why I figured I had to save you to the last, because we're gonna have this like the show energy was gonna go like this.
That's what you were doing. She was like, she's gonna go from like PhD clinical to the black guy. So I was like, all right.
And also, you know, besides the fact that I wanted to end with high energy, if you watch the rest of my shows, I've always had the comedian go last too. So I want to end on the comedy. So
no problem. It's fun.
Nothing personal, but also yes, welcome to Tabari.
Like, well, because for one, at this time last year, I was headlining a club in Richland, Washington. So this weekend is like 1 year. And it's like, oh my, I feel like Jay-Z was just a week ago. But you know, so I had
Tabari in my room in September of this year. Then, well, so that's how I know Tabari.
Hopefully, I'll be back. I have not had a chance to meet Carol in person, but I was going to say, first of all, Carol, the eyebrows and the lashes are very nice, and the highlights is a very good flow. If you are, I don't expect you to be single long, because I can tell you right now, once the pandemic is over, all of these creepy people that I have been seeing on Bumble and Tinder, they're gonna get a chance to go back out into the real world with that I've been cooped up energy. It's gonna be
you know what, Tabari, I know that's true, and I'm gonna run and hide under a blanket at that time, because the guys are gonna be like, I need a woman so bad. I'll be like,
it's gonna be bad and weird. Like there's gonna be a table at like a TGI Fridays for like eons, because people are gonna be going out to eat. Well, actually, one of two things is gonna happen. Trust me, I'll get back to the topic that we have.
Like, can I touch you? Can I touch you?
But, like, I know this much. All the hairstylists and things are out of work, like the front-facing businesses. You are going to see great clips packed. Like, you're going to see black dudes that go, like, look, I've never been so happy to be bald in my life.
I'm starting to see guys that are normally bald, like, you have hair.
Black Friday lines are bad. You wait till you see people trying to get into hair salons and you know, and restaurants and gyms. It is going to be ridiculous. I'm gonna be on the sidelines just laughing and chilling. You know what I mean? And like,
my brother's giving us some laughs right now. So
I'm trying to get into better shape, because right now, as I stay on stage, I got like a young Al Roker vibe happening, and but like this is the best time to try to get in shape, because who else is gonna see you? Like this is the time to get your Peloton ad ready, where you can be fat now and be thinner later. And you know, we're not supposed to be body shaming, and we're not supposed to be doing all that. Here's what I will say: negativity has a place in some instances, depending on the person. Because if you tell somebody who's not doing well everything positive, they're going to go ahead and keep believing that. And that's how we do with a lot of political candidates. That's as much as I can say about that without getting myself in trouble. So some negativity has a place, but in terms of positivity, so not just being a comic, because as I say, Kevin Hart is the only black dude under 6 feet tall making money doing stand-up right now. I have a daytime job, and I was unemployed for about 8 months. And if you have never been unemployed, when people talk about like, oh, you know, it'll get better, no, they have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm an only child who lives alone in a house in a nice, predominantly not me suburb. So being alone, I have been Will Smith and I Am Legend without the dog for a very long time. It was funny, like, you know, I was listening to Karen and Andy because I can be quiet when I have to be, and I try to be respectful of other people's time and energy. But it's a lot of things that would help, because any one of my friends that knows me, I have been the Debbie Downer. I have been the negative Nancy. There's no male equivalent for that. That's kind of sexist. I'll let you fight that battle in your time. I have had a stream of negative, like, I was going to name my second album Black Charlie Brown. But my label wouldn't let me. And I'm like, the Schultz is dealing with wildfires in California right now. I think they got bigger problems. But in any case, so like my mind had been in some extremely dark places, and like I don't know about other people, like a lot of African Americans, we had that culture where you keep your problems to yourself. You don't really open up. Like a lot of Black people haven't gone to therapy and things of that nature. I haven't been. I have nothing against it. For one, I couldn't afford it. And you know, and I try to get my problems out in a creative way on stage. But there are different survival tips that I found, because I recently landed like a dream day job, and then of course 1 week later the world went to hell, and that was
oh no.
Wow.
I feel very fortunate right now because I'm able to work from home. I have a great company and a great boss. I've been able to keep both careers separate, because like my LinkedIn is like Tabari 9 to 5, and then my Facebook is me ranting about everything under the sun until I remember that I still want to make sure I keep my day job. So I'm not something too controversial. Like my boss is like the coolest boss I've had in a long time, but I'm like, yeah, I don't want to mess up that money, because I can tell you this: all Black people are like, we ain't messing up that money. So it's like, what? All right. So, but in terms of positivity, because I seriously, these previous 8 months, because I just started my job about 3-4 weeks ago. The last 8 months was an epic struggle where like I was having those type of thoughts where you're like, like, you know, like the Notorious B.I.G. made an album. His debut album was called Ready to Die. My album was called Ready to Go to a Coma and Hope I Can Wake Up When It's Better. Like I wasn't, but it was not good. And like, a couple of things that I have found that will help you. Karen and Andy did cover these, but Andy talked a lot about making a to-do list. When I was unemployed, and even right now, the thing that I try to do is make sure I get out of the house at least once a day. Because if you sit in the house, it starts to feel like a jail or a prison. By the way, I used to teach for 7 years, and I hated that job. I can say it now because I don't have to. I like kids, and not in the R. Kelly way, PG. But there are so many kids that have lost their. This is a whole other show. But I'm laughing at every going through like this Facebook. I'm going through Facebook and Twitter. What am I supposed to do with my kids? I don't know. Why don't you try and teach them and then blame the teacher? Oh, wait, so I'm loving this point in time. Because I have been Tom Hanks on that island in Castaway for forever, and now I've finally gotten back home, and everybody else they're stuck with Wilson. Getting out of the house once a day is important, because otherwise you just become locked in your own world, and then you end up writing manifestos or growing out beards, or one of those shows where we can't fat shame. But I'm gonna say this: if you can't get the door frame. Anyhow, so getting out of the house is important. Second, if you can't already tell, I use humor not as a defense mechanism, but I like humor for two different reasons. The first reason I like humor is that I feel like today in our world now, comedians in a lot of instances are the last truth tellers that we have in society. I could not run for political office. I couldn't do it because I'd be on that dais sitting there going, you know, he's a lying son of a, and they would just cut to like the color ball. Or, I notice political candidates do this because pointing is rude. I'd be like, you's a liar, son of, and they just cut to the bars again.
I don't know, Tabari, like our current president has said the most ridiculous things, and we thought nobody would. So maybe we should run and be the truth teller.
I can't do this because if I go on this road, you're either going to have the most viewers ever, or you're going to have all these threats on my name. I'll tell you, Gary Michael, like, yeah, I'll put you this way. Here's the one joke I'm going to say about this, because you know, one thing I hate is stereotypes. And when people think about depressed people, they think, oh, you know, they don't know how to handle life or this and that. No, some people have chemical imbalances, and in this current world, money. Seriously, and then money drives so much. There's a reason it's the root of all evil. There's a reason we're all getting a $1,200 check. You know, it feels that. I'll say this about the current administrator, and then I'll move on so that I don't get flagged by the FBI. I already got my tax return, luckily. But like, I hate stereotypes. Although another comedian friend of mine named Vince Morse he's always said that every stereotype has a nucleus. And this is what I've heard just upset so many of 45's people. This has nothing positive coming if you're one of his fans, pre-warning. But I said, if you want to be stereotypical about it, when people talk about Obama, who was not the patron saint of all Black people, that would be LeBron James and Michael Jordan. But when you talk about 45 and you want to talk about stereotypes, to get a half Black president, he had to go to Harvard and be a lawyer and graduate at the top of his class and work his way up from alderman to Congress and then to the presidency. Meanwhile, you have a dude who's a reality TV star, who's gone bankrupt a couple of times, who basically ruined the USFL, who at the same time also paid hush money to an adult film star and then didn't pay her enough, so she blabbed about it to everybody. If you want to be stereotypical, we currently have the blackest president we've ever had. So, enjoy my time. My name is Tabari McCoy. Little Rail Howard. But you know, speaking with the positives, like, and the second reason is that, as you can see, when you're laughing, it's hard to be stressed. Any comic, Andy, I know you any comic, you know, you'll be up on that stage. You could have had the worst day ever, but there's 200 to 350, if you're lucky, people in that audience who could have had the worst day ever. They could have had someone. They could have someone dealing with cancer. They could be dealing with an eviction coming up. They could have a family member addicted to opioids or something of that nature. I'm a Cincinnatian. I'm a Bengals fan. Anyway, you have to find a way for your creative stress outlet. And when you're on that stage and you're able to make a complete room full of strangers laugh, there's no better feeling. So it's almost like therapy for people in one way, and at the same time, it's just a really great feeling to be able to make people laugh and take their stress away for a little while. See, I was not smart. I did not do my product placement. Very nice. I wore somebody else's logo. Anyhow, so, you know, getting out of the house is important. Finding the humor in things is important. I don't want to say this because you've seen comedians do the open mic therapy where they hold the crowd hostage, where there are no jokes and it's just them talking about things that you're like, please stop. This is uncomfortable for everyone. Like, I don't mean that. When you can find things and relate it to people and they can laugh at your experience or laugh along with you, it's a really great feeling. And the last thing, now I preface this because, for one, there are so many comedians I've met who are just like flat out atheists or don't believe in anything. I'm going to be non-denominational. I believe in God, and the Judeo-Christian set works for me. For the most part, that's what works for me. However, even if you don't believe in a higher power, and if this hasn't shown you that we are not in control, I don't know what will. But having faith in something, you know, if you want to get into semantics of, you know, Buddhism versus Christianity versus Catholicism versus Judaism versus, you know, World of Warcraft, whatever you believe in, that's, you know, I know what works for me. And when people ask, I try to explain it as best I can and things of that nature. But having faith in something, because my faith has been extremely tested. I'm an only child. I owe Bank of America way too much money. And when I was at the brink, right before I got this job, I was just sitting here like, I don't know how I'm going to take care of this. Like, my parents and family were trying to help. My friends were trying to be positive, but they're all doing well. And you get into that thing of how can, especially with comics, whether it's a comedian friend, how come they got this break, or how come this person got this break? Or, you're like, I try to do charity for people. I try to be a good person. I don't do this and that. Why am I suffering? And then about 2 weeks right before a very critical date, my current employer called and offered, and I was sitting there, I was like, wait a second, are you offering me the job? And then when they told me the amount of money that was going to be in it, it's the most money I've ever made. And then she knew I did stand-up comedy back when I used to be a newspaper reporter, and she knew me from those days and had no issues with it. She said, well, we'll say that way you can work remotely because I'm in public relations and I do writing. So, with a laptop nowadays or an iPhone, you can have a mobile office for the most part. So I have a great environment, great flexibility, like the people that I work with. They like me so far. I mean, I'm trying to hold it in. You gotta give people yourself in doses. You know what I mean? You can't give them everything full blast. But it's like a dream job. We're doing okay with the current economic situation because we have a lot of clients that depend on us for their media outreach and things of that nature. And this is the happiest I've been in forever. I remember when Andy was talking about how he was being unhappy and things of that nature. Before I got this job, I remember the exact last day I was truly happy. And I recorded both of my albums after this. But the last day I was truly happy, I would say was about April 12th, 2012. Now, think about that. That's 8 years. That's 2 Olympics if you count the summer, or 2 if you count the winter. And if you like both of those, I can't deal with you because there are certain things in the Olympics that are not sports. And I know we're past the 1 hour time. Plus, it's 11 o'clock here in Cincy, so I had to be like responsible and kind of wake up for a day job. Because let's face it, I had shows. So one of the things, like I don't want to say it's luck. I remember I interviewed Patrice O'Neal, a very funny comedian. If anyone's familiar with him, Patrice, I don't know how well he would do in today's PC world. He kind of died at the right time, but it was a tragedy. But it was kind of like good timing because the way this world is now, he might not have done too well. But he said he got every opportunity in life after he was more than ready for it. And I thought about that. They talk about like luck is what time plus preparation or opportunity or whatever the phrase is. And I was at my lowest point about this time a month ago. Now I'm gonna be able to pay off some bills. I'm gonna be able to set aside money for some projects I want to do. I know what I need to try to do. When I got my job, a person put in a recommendation for me that I asked to reach out to my boss. I sent her a little thank you thing. She didn't know that was coming. I have a good friend of mine that when I was unemployed, she would help me out because you can't see it because I'm in my bedroom, but I have a 40-year-old virgin-like level of sports memorabilia in my house. It's organized. It does not look creepy. It's not a situation where you're gonna have to worry about being on the bone. It's nice. I even have it in the store. It's like it's in my basement and my guest bedroom. It's nice. It's pristine. And if we were to buy a house together, I just need the basement. We'll be. But, like she would always take care of me, and then she got let go from her job, and I knew she was hurting. I just sent her a $25 Target gift card in the mail, just a little something to let her know she was appreciated. I like to try to give to charity once a year, and City Gospel Mission's a charity here in Cincinnati, and Easter's coming up, and they work with the homeless. And being homeless is one of my greatest fears. I can't walk past homeless people and act like they're not there. I can't give every time because I'm not rich. I got this Jordan shirt on clearance at a Nike outlet 4 years ago. But when I can help people, I can. So, people have helped me when I was down and out. If you can help people when you're in a decent position, karma, whether you believe in it or not, I do believe that comes around. I had family members that were helping me out. Now I'm like, okay, I can take care of what I need to take care of, not be a burden on them, not be stressed out, and being a dude in his early 40s that's single, because in the Midwest, people here hook up early, like in high school, like penguins or something. I'm doing that, by the way, right now. So I hope y'all enjoying it. If not, I got to work on some more material. I got 2 albums out. Support me. I'm on Amazon and iTunes and Pandora and Spotify. Help. Anyhow.
TV and Amazon Prime. Yes.
But, I would say getting out of the house is one, because you have to go experience the world, because you can get too locked into your own. Second, try to find the humor in things, or try to be be creative with the extra time that you have. If you've been working on a project and you haven't gotten around to it, work on it now. If you're working from home, if you can actually sit down for 8 hours straight and do it, you should probably run a company. So if you've been thinking about running a company, maybe this is when you start one. America loves alcohol. I know. They're letting right now here in Ohio and Kentucky, because I'm on the border. Cincinnati's on the border. They're letting people do delivery alcohol sales to try to help the restaurants and bars. And there's an article I just saw, I think it was on MSNBC or NBC News. Alcohol apps and everything else are booming right now. So, they say that necessity is what the mother or
mother of invention.
Yeah, that's like stepsister. I don't know. If you can find something right now that you've been thinking about doing, this might be the time to do it. I am lucky that comedy's not my only income. Maybe one day it might be, because I had some great auditions and things coming up, which would have been huge news. But everything's on hold right now. But I have several comedian friends of mine, who are hurting right now, and I've been trying to promote them on their Facebook, on my social media channels, or telling people like, hey, don't forget about these things. And I'm hoping that this will bring some good out of people, because it feels like the planet is resetting itself. Like, hey, like you guys have been doing too much. It's like that bad M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I know I should be sick, but it's like happening. And the man's made some good movies, and then he's made the rest. But it feels like the planet is seriously like resetting right now, and I'm lucky because like I write a movie blog right now. Don't have to worry about that. I write an independent wrestling column for a Spanish language newspaper, and no habla español. It's not like biblioteca. I know that. But I'm in English and that, so I've been able to like slow down some projects, finish some other things. Now that I'm going to be able to get an actual budget, I'm sitting there going, okay, I can take care of this project, and this is important, and this will be good, and then this will set us up for a better future here. Because I know that Karen was talking about the future versus what's really happening, and I will worry myself to death about the future. I don't even like the rapper Future. So I know that I have to stick with what's going on right now, but making a plan. I actually write down a budget. I have friends of mine who don't do that. You gotta have some planning. There's an old expression: proper planning prevents poor performance. So come up with a plan, whatever it may be, and do it. And the last thing I will say is be realistic with yourself. I'm a chubby individual. I've been chubby my whole life. I've always said diabetes runs in my family because nobody in my family runs. So, I try to go exercise at least 3 times a week, so I can do that. I may never get smaller, but I'm never going to get bigger because I'm not going to let myself get bigger. And I'm trying to become a bigger, stronger, faster, fat dude. There's a comic that I work with named Josh Wolf, who used to be on Chelsea lately. And I got to open for Josh once. And he said that he used to work as a personal trainer. And Josh he looks 15 years younger than he actually is. He's got like a Matthew McConaughey, but like you think you couldn't beat him in Scrabble type of vibe. And like 8-pack abs and this and that. But he said when he would personal train, he would tell people, be realistic with your life goals. I follow so many Instagram fitness models because I'm single. And I look at them, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to reach that level. And someone says, well, if you tell yourself you never will, you never will. And I go, you're right. What you want from me? But I am always going to try to do better. So whether I'm at my job and I'm trying to improve or help someone in the office, whether I'm trying to write a better joke or become a better comic, because everybody's on that scale. Someone in the crowd wants to be on that stage at an open mic. An open micer wants to be an MC. An MC wants to feature. A feature wants to headline. A headliner wants to get out of comedy clubs for a full weekend and do 2 or 3 nights a week. They want to get out of 2 or 3 nights a week to do theaters. They want to get out of theaters to have a TV show. They want to get out of TV shows to do movies. Then they want to get out of movies so that they can do drama because no one respects comedy. And then they want to direct. And then all goes well.
Oh my gosh.
Steve Martin.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so true. And so many people here are just like, but I just want to get to they don't even know that they've got like a 40-year.
Nope. And there's tons of them. Like, the one thing about this pandemic is about teaching us what's essential. So, I'm trying to, scale back on some of my spending because seriously, Bank of America, I don't have student loan debt. I have credit card debt. I'm in the bank.
Bragging.
Like I'm a face. So it's like, I'm just hoping they don't do me like Manolo. That's an old reference for anyone under 40. You'll get it when you get a chance to watch it. Or find a black person that listens to too much rap. It's all in everything. But it's just one of those things where it's like trying to do what I can. And when you had asked me to come on the show, I was like, man, if she'd asked me a month ago, I couldn't have done it. It was, Karen would have been very nice and popular with a very charming New England style charm. I mean, come on, look at that with the collar and the things. And then Andy's very professional. He's got his book behind him because look at that home. And I'd have been over here like, positive. I tell you what I'm positive about. So timing is everything. Have some faith in yourself. Have some faith in good people. Don't let the bad people bring you down. I've been that person where people I knew would want to hang, but I was, so I understand that to all my friends. I'm going to try and stay in this positive space because it's easy to fall back into that negative space. It's very easy. Misery loves company for a reason. Plus, no one likes to hang out with the person that's doing well because they're like, ugh. It reminds you about how bad you're doing. Remember that show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? That has not been on the air forever. We got a hoarders marathon. That's we got Tiger King. You know what I mean? It's like, so we got Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri has to know that hair is ridiculous, but it's his gimmick. He's locked in now. If he turns that off and everything, right. I mean, what would he do? He is screwed. He has to look like that for forever. For the rest of his life. He can't go to a chili cook-off with a respectable haircut and a shirt without flames on it. He's locked in. But
it's so true because Joe Exotic, if he would have just had a normal haircut, that nobody'd be watching Tiger.
He called himself Joe Exotic. You expected to have a normal haircut?
Yeah.
I mean,
so Tabari, you had 4 points. I don't know if you recognize this or not, but I've been listening very carefully.
It was the bonus. Well, since I'm the only child, I am not used to people listening, and I'm single. I am so attention. So I was like, I was sitting there like, I guess I'm going last. I'm going to maximize this time. So,
I'm going to recap the 4-step method. Tabari maintain optimistic mindset method. Number 1, make a list. So this is plan, make a to-do list, make a budget. That fits under that. Yes. Get outside, go do movement.
Yes.
Laugh. That was your other one. And I don't know if you recognize this one, but do stuff for other people. So this is one of the ones we hit on. I found this, one of my shows early last week was that one of the things that's really, really powerful right now is that any of you that can do anything for someone else right now, it doesn't have to be monetary. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you can, but go be of service to other people. And that ends up, it's another way of taking you out of your own worry and future pacing and all that kind of stuff is just go do stuff for somebody else, be of service. And that will do so much to help you feel empowered.
I'll wrap it up with a very simple story. So I was in Indianapolis recently because they have an NBA team and we don't, and I go autograph hunting. So I always keep waiting for somebody to be like, didn't I see you on the stage? I'm like, yes, now sign this because you're more famous than me. But I was in Indianapolis and I saw a guy who, I hate the fact that homeless people become like background noise at this point for some of us. I don't make jokes. There's 2 things I don't make jokes about on stage. That's sexual assault and homeless people, because I don't. That's me. I've seen people do very good jokes about both, but that's not me. And I remember I was there and I saw a guy, and you know how you can tell someone is really homeless or going through something versus maybe they're faking it. And I just kept watching people go past this guy and I couldn't do it. And I was broke. I had maybe $200. I didn't know how I was going to get my mortgage paid the next month before a family member helped me out. And there was a steak and shake there, and $4 meal. It was $4. I said, I was able to drive here. I'm going to be able to get back home. I'm going to have food waiting for me one way or the other. And I'm not destitute this month. That's right, destitute, because I was an English teacher. And I had to break up the monotony of the sadness. So I saw the guy and I said, hey, if I go get you a meal, would you actually? And he was like, yeah. So I got him the meal, came back. He was like, yeah, me and my mom are living in a van right now and this and that. And I was sitting there going, I'm sitting here worrying about me, future worrying. Shout out to Karen. And I said, this man is in current worry. And, it made me feel better. It made me say, okay, maybe I'm paying it forward and I don't know it yet. And then I had the weekend right before I got my job, the week or two before I got my job, I went back to Indy for the NFL draft and whatnot. And there was another team up there that I was trying to get something from. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony, Portland Trailblazers, Pacific Northwest. And I was sitting there and I saw another homeless person, and it was like a mom and a son or something, or a couple, and they had a dog. And D.L. Hughley did a joke about this. He said, whenever I see a homeless couple with a dog, he said, I feel bad for the dog, because the dog's like, I can't find myself. But I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? If I get this job, or if I think I'm gonna get this job, I'm gonna give $1. It's $1. It's $1. And I said, if I see it, I'm gonna have to do it. And I can't remember now if I got the job the next day or if I got the job like the day before, because I can't remember. But I remember I said, God, if I get this job, I'm going to. And I had a good interview. I hadn't gotten officially yet. But I remember I said, if I can get this job, I remember I saw them and I was like, oh, and I was like, it's $1, Tabari. And I handed them the $1, and within 3 days, I have my current job. So, it's like, I try to it's been very hard for me for a very long time to think about being positive. I had a job, I had a job that was a dream job before it ended in 2009, and then the next, I can't do math, 11 years sucked, basically. Got laid off from another job, got let go from a job. And if I told that story, you'd be like, why didn't you sue? It was just terrible. And then at my lowest point, I decided to try to help somebody else out. And then I got a dream job. I have gigs lined up for this summer, which you can find out at TabariMcCoy.com. And they should be fine if we are able to just social distance people. You want to be positive? How about this? Be positive that this pandemic could go away if you can just social distance. Use FaceTime, use StreamYard, use whatever you got. It'll be fine. You ain't go watch anybody play sports. Your favorite musician ain't touring right now. Elton John was on Fox tonight. You think Elton John needs Fox money? He's got Fox money. Just do a dance. Just for the love of everything sacred, stop hanging out at the park. Well, I'm outside. So are the germs, dummy. I almost cursed. So are the germs, stupid. Stay home. Just follow it. Do you want to have a positive COVID-19 test? Oh, no? Then stay inside. So, on that note, that's all I got. Because if I keep going, he talked the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Tabari. That was very inspirational, very high energy. Those of you watching, you need to give some thumbs up and some hearts for that. We got one from Paul, who's my brother again. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all my guests. We're going to wrap this up now. And this is the way I wrap up all of my shows. This is also how I wrap up my coaching calls with my clients who I'm working with on the keto diet, which is what I do mostly. So this is called the lightning bolt round. So if each of you will take a turn and share your aha, your takeaway, or whatever it is you'd like to say, but not 20 minutes worth, Tabari. And we'll say goodnight. So who wants to go first? Your aha, takeaway, or something to close it up. Yes, Karen.
I love Andy's journals with the 3 things to do and the 3 things that you did. I think that is so great, and it's right in line with Tabari of plan your day, right? And I think that right now, especially, it's so important to do that plan.
One thing that this has reminded me of is that if you are positive, people will be around you. And if you're not positive, they tend to avoid you, which makes you go further down your negative cycle. Mm-hmm. So that's why, once again, if any of my friends saw this, I apologize for being a pill the last 8 years. I don't know why. But I'm better now.
He's back. Oh, this way.
Yeah, so, if you can do little things for other people, if you can get out of the house so you don't trap yourself in your own prison of negativity, and then, of course, try to find a little bit of time to laugh in life, you'll probably enjoy it a lot better than if you don't do those things.
Mm-hmm. I think I would say with Karen talking about other people affecting your influence and bring that into your life, and Tabari talking about that kind of on the outgoing, it's got people can influence you based on bringing that, oh, is this a bad thing? Maybe, maybe not, right? Or they can influence your life by how you help them. Tabari bought somebody lunch. He gave somebody $1, and that person, even though Tabari was taking the action, that influenced his life and made him feel good, and good things came back to him. So it's all about perspective. And that's kind of my aha moment, I guess, from today, is really reframing and paying attention to how people are, where they're positioned on the team in your life, so that it's not just, hey, they're there and I'm just taking whatever they're throwing at me, but how do I strategically shield and bring them in and use them in the right way and let them have me help them too. So that was, and just the gift of laughter that we all enjoyed in this time. You can't be in a bad mood and you can't be stressful when we're enjoying that. So that was just a good break from the to-do list.
So true. So true. Oh my gosh. Thank you all for being here. Tabari, Karen, Andy. The biggest compliment those of you watching can give us is to share this with others. I've got more episodes coming up. I don't know if I can keep up the pace with daily or not, but I got more guests planned. So, and Tabari, hang out here because I got something to chat with you after we go not live. So, yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. Come back soon. This is a record show, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.